The political dialogue process has been a long ongoing track, multiple tracks. There's been a political track, which is the main track of dialogue, and the security track. The two have come together now in the last few weeks or the last couple of months, let's say, after the signature that happened in December in Skhirat. And the presidential council that was appointed put forward a cabinet of 13 ministers and 5 state ministers. Unfortunately, that government did not pass, was not ratified by the House of Representatives as stated in the Libyan political agreement. And now this is the foundation, or sort of the temporary constitution now for the remaining transitional period in Libya, is this LPA, Libyan political agreement. And holding on to this agreement is very critical, because it was very difficult to reach this consensus. And once you reach this consensus, going backwards has a lot of risks associated. Now, the problem with where we have reached, there have been a lot of, let's say, mishaps and a lot of oversight for problems that occurred throughout this process that now we are paying the price for. And one of those things is the way the Presidential Council itself was selected. Initially it was 3, 1 president, 2 deputies, and 2 senior ministers with them. It became now 9, with 1 president, 5 deputies who have veto power, and 3 senior ministers. This expansion itself was not really a part of the consensus. This was part of a makeshift amendments that were done in order to try to expand the basis of consensus. Unfortunately, this expansion of consensus did not reflect positively in February, when the House of Representatives should have ratified this cabinet. And then now we are in a place where a presidential council is in exile, based primarily in Tunis and moving around the world, but not in Libya. We have a cabinet that is not ratified, and we have a base of consensus that when the political and military tracks or security tracks sort of should have merged together in order to reflect the political reality on the ground, that never really materialized until today. There is an effort by the Presidential Council to try to rectify that. We hope that they are able to do that. Personally, I'm not very confident, because I haven't really seen in the last few days any signs of clear vision as to how to do that, or any practical steps taken in order to address this issue of armed groups all over the place with different signs. In the east, you have a group of army officers and people who claim themselves as the legitimate national army. Some of them have been carrying on fights in Benghazi and in other locations, which do not necessarily reflect the fight against terrorism that they claim, for 2 main reasons. One is this is being led by a general, Khalifa Haftar, who has not hidden his ambition and his striving for power. He announced 3 times failed coups in the past 2 years. Now he's carrying on this mission under the claim that he is fighting against terrorism, and in reality what's happening on the ground is he's fighting for power. And just like a lot of other armed groups are doing the same in other regions. So for me, the absence of a security apparatus under the supervision of a government is the reality that we have today, and is the reason why we have not been able to resolve these the fighting and the instability that's happening in Libya. So now, where we are at today and where we need to go. Today we have a dysfunctional presidential council that is not able to function in the capital. That's the main reason. So the goal now is to have this presidential council instilled peacefully into Tripoli, which demands expanding the basis of consensus and reaching out to those who have mistrust issues with regard to the Presidential Council and what their intentions and what their vision is with regard to the future of the country, and with regard to them individually as different armed groups throughout the country. And the second issue we have is a Libyan political agreement that is being let's say not being respected by those who supported it or those who signed it. including the GNC, which will transform into the State Council, as well as the House of Representatives, which is based on Tobruk at this point. So this is the gap that we have. As a political dialogue group, we're trying to close the gap and holding on to the common denominators that have brought us to this consensus. And at the same time, we have to put a deadline and we have to put some milestones in place in the very, very near future for this Presidential Council. And if they continue to fail to meet these objectives and key milestones, we have to revisit this Presidential Council and look at possibly going back to the consensus point, which we had in the beginning, which is a president with 2 deputies and a decision-making process that does not keep their hands tied in order for them to be able to deliver the stability and security and the economic revival that Libya needs in order to maintain its sovereignty and the unity of Libya as it is today.